Hello and welcome to AFcast. I'm your host Malcolm, and today we're going to be talking about a new update that came out in Rainbow Six Siege called Operation Wind Bastion. And for those of you who don't know what Rainbow Six Siege is, it is a tactical shooter game where essentially you're placed on a map, attackers and defenders 5v5, essentially trying to complete some kind of objective like extracting a hostage from the defenders, defusing a bomb that the defenders are protecting, or securing a certain room in the map against the defenders. And so this is a new update about the game. In this update, we have two new operators, some new glitches, fixes in the game, and also a new map. And actually, the entire theme of it is Moroccan, so this is actually really cool. We're going to first start off with our operators, and I am also here with my friend Bryce Manley, who's going to start us off with Nomad.
So, the first operator, as he said, is Nomad. She's an attacker. Her ability is in the air jab, which she has 3 shots on it, and it's a shootable, which is a side barrel attachment, much like Buck's shotgun. Whenever she has the air jab equipped, there's a giant yellow laser that is visible to everyone, which is basically just like a laser sight showing where it's going to aim. After it's fired, it takes 1.5 seconds to activate once it hits a surface.
Or a person.
Yeah, or a person. Well, if it hits a person, it falls and hits the surface. But
yeah. It used to be really OP because it used to instantly go off if you hit someone, so you could shoot someone.
You wouldn't even have to hit someone. It would explode midair if they were in the range.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If you get hit by it, it's able to throw it, it throws you to the side. And it's able to throw you through different things like walls that are not reinforced, obviously, barricades, deployable shields, and Tachanka turrets.
Which is actually really funny because I would say it's a great defense or offense against Tachanka, but then again, no one plays Tachanka, and also when exactly are you gonna have the chance to use Nomad to take out a Tachanka turret?
Because you would need to shoot it behind the Tachanka and have it perfectly placed.
Yeah, it's
too many variables.
Yeah.
All right, so her weapons. And for her weapons, she has 2 primary weapons, the AK-47M and the ARX-200, and 1 secondary weapon, which is the .44 mag semi-auto.
And by the way, both the first 2 weapons that he talked about were ARs. The second one is a semi-auto pistol,
which has a ACOG scope on it.
It's insane. I mean, this scope is I don't even know how to. It's just it looks very uncomfortable, but when you're actually playing it, it's so smooth. It's the smoothest scope I've ever. It's so weird. It looks so basic too, because all it is a few lines and a dot, and then it's good.
Kind of looks like a sniper scope put on a pistol.
Yeah, no kidding.
So for her equipment, she has the choice between either stun grenades or breaching charges, and she's a 2-speed, 2-armor operator.
All right, so the next operator that we are going to be talking about is Cade, who is a defender. And so his ability is called the Electro Claw, which essentially, first of all, he has 2 of them. And you can throw these kind of like Ella's mines. And so they're not placed like bandits, like bandit charges where you place them next to reinforcements. Because what these do, they electrify everything in a spherical radius around this Electro Claw. And it can electrify up to 3 things. And so it basically allows you to electrify hatches without placing a bandit wire on the top where attackers can easily just shoot it. And also, if you've ever played the common laundry Oregon defense, with the wall, with the reinforcement wall in classroom and then the reinforcement on the hatch in lobby, you're actually able to get a certain kind of not peak, but a certain spot where you can throw the electric claw in order to get both the reinforcement and the hatch. So there's all sorts of stuff like that. You can also kind of shoot a hole in the floor and then actually manage to get the Cade in the Cade thing, the electric claw in the floor. So that way it's a lot harder to spot for enemies, and then that's also really useful to do.
Much like the old Valkyrie camera strats where people would hide them in the roof and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then also if you want to kind of cover hatches that are from roof. Like if you want to do bathroom hatch, essentially in coastline, where they can drop in from the roof, what you can do, you can place barbed wire down on the floor of the bathroom. And I actually just thought of this, and I'm proud of it. But then you can throw the electric claw right below the floor of that bathroom, and it'll actually electrify the barbed wire. So if any enemies drop, they'll have to quickly destroy the barbed wire or shoot like a breaching round into it in order to actually destroy it. And basically just waste time and resources for the enemy. So there's a lot of cool tricks like that that you can do. And it's very interesting. So.
Yeah. And I was unaware of the fact, actually, that they changed it so it could only electrify 3 things.
Oh, really?
Because last I had seen in the test servers, it could electrify anything in the range, no matter how many things are there.
Yeah, it's only up to 3 things now. So, that's fun. And his weapons is a submachine gun, which is called the AUG A3, and a shotgun that's called the TCSG-12, and also same as Nomad, our attack operator, not a talk. A .44 mag semi-auto, which once again has that insane scope. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's kind of like their brand for this one, is that pistol. Because I feel like there's always some kind of brand that they put on for each of the new operators that have come out, at least on the map or the actual operators themselves. And so Cade's equipment is the barbed wire, which you can, of course, electrify with the Electro Claw, and then also impact grenades, which comes with a lot of defense operators. And then he is a 1-speed 3 armor, which gives him a bit more diversity between him and Bandit. So it's like a lot of people were worried that Cade was going to kind of take place of Bandit. And so what makes this a lot better is that Bandit is a 3-speed 1 armor, right? Which means that Bandit is way more versatile than than Cade. And it's actually really annoying to play Cade sometimes because for some reason when I play Cade, I feel like I need to move around more. But like I can't because, he's really heavy with armor and stuff. So, but that also obviously allows him to be more diverse with it. And also he only has 2. And also the actual amount of time that it takes for the Electro Claw to activate takes like a couple more seconds than, like, the Bandit is nearly instant, whereas the Cade, it just takes forever for it. So it's really hard to Cade trick, and I think they've actually made it impossible now.
It is not impossible, but unlike Bandits, when a thermite charge starts, after you see a thermite charge start, you have like a millisecond to begin to place the Bandit wire.
Mm-hmm.
With Cade, you have to listen for him placing it down. If you don't get it like the second he starts placing it down, the wall's gone.
Yeah. It's also another thing that's really useful about the Electro Claw is that it's a lot harder for Thatcher to EMP if you can put it in the correct space. Because, of course, Thatcher's EMP only has a certain range. And so if your Electro Claw is just out of that range, you can keep the reinforcements how they are. And so I actually feel like Thatcher's going to be starting to be used a lot more with these Electro Claws. Or even Maverick maybe trying to get those cheeky angles on the Electro Claws.
I feel like Thatcher's actually been chosen more because Maverick kind of replaced Thatcher in the past season.
Yeah.
In a sense where all you're looking for is bandits and mutes where you can just draw a line around the bottom of the reinforcement and see them easily. But now these Cade things, they can be anywhere on the wall.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's also some really cool diversity with Nomad because, well, it's not even necessarily diversity. It's just that like she's completely different from every operator in the game. It's honestly, in my opinion, it's kind of stepping outside of Ubisoft's kind of comfort zone with the way that they've done operators in Siege before, because we've never had anything that's been able to throw us through walls before.
Yeah.
We've never had anything that has literally stunned us like that before. Like, obviously, we literally have stun grenades, but all that does is impair your hearing and sight for a few seconds. It completely knocks you down. You cannot shoot or anything, and it's really OP. I shouldn't say it's OP because it's actually fairly balanced right now, especially with the 1.5 second delay that it has. But you can definitely put it in very strategic spots. It allows you to put an organized push without having anyone interrupt you. But obviously these things are they're not very obvious, but they're obvious enough for roaming operators to start looking out for them and shoot them and then get the drop on you. So you do have to be pretty strategic with how you place them, especially as the season goes on.
And as to what you were saying with the stunning, there's only one other gadget in the game that can completely stop people from doing stuff, and that's frost mats.
Yeah.
So
And that only does that by injuring you.
yeah. So this adds a whole new mechanic, as he was saying, where you have to work around that.
All right, and so now we're going to move on to the new map, which is called Fortress.
As he said, it's in Morocco, so the entire map aesthetic is darker feeling, brownish, tannish, and
It looks really good. It looks really polished. Actually, it literally looks polished because it's Moroccan. But
and around the map, there's 3 staircases. All right.
I don't know. There's the one spiral staircase. There's the one staircase that's going up behind. Oh yeah, there's 3. There's 3. There might actually be 4.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
But-
neither do I. I don't count staircases, so.
It has a nice I wouldn't say introduction because other maps have had this sort of thing, but it has the spiral staircases. But unlike other maps, it's like, take Consulate for instance. It has this giant spiral staircase.
Yeah, this is more constricted.
This is like a very, very tight spiral staircase that only goes up 1 floor, which
It's basically like a hallway that's kind of just been like twisted upwards.
yeah, which adds to a whole new system of tight peaking on it and doing different kinds of flanks and that sort of thing throughout it. On the roof, which is a completely flat roof, and you can access everywhere from the roof, and there's staircase going down the side of the building and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the whole map is actually very accessible from the roof.
Yeah. There is these construction entrances, more or less, where it's a floor where only attackers can go onto, and then they can walk onto the scaffolding and then drop into the actual map itself from the scaffolding that defenders are not able to get onto.
Which also, like I said earlier, kind of adds a usefulness for Cade, because what you can do below those construction places, you can place that barbed wire, then throw an electric claw underneath, so anyone who's trying to drop down from construction if they have to drop down, they're going to have to drop down on that barbed wire. But the problem with this is that there's 3 of these construction entrances, so it's like, and you only have a couple electro claws and barbed wire, so.
As I had said, there's the outside staircase on like the east side, I think it is, that can go from ground level all the way up to the roof and back down.
Like the New Hereford base.
Yeah, much like the New Hereford base. And there's 2 cameras outside, that one overlooks the entire roof, and then one overlooks that staircase, which I feel like these are really good positionings for cameras for defenders, even though they're going to get taken out
fairly quickly. Because they're pretty much really easy to shoot from basically anywhere outside of the map. Because they're on either side of the building, which means that, like, unless you spawn on one side or the other, which you can't, you're going to basically be able to shoot both cameras within a few seconds of the match starting.
But it does still give defenders a good idea of where they're coming from.
Mhm.
If they're destroyed really quickly and the defender's watching it, they can see where the bullets come from and that sort of thing, so they can figure out where the attackers are.
Well, to be fair, the spawns are also either north side or south side. Like, there's 2 spawns on the north side and 2 spawns on the south side. That's about it.
Yeah.
So,
And the map itself is very open. It feels very loose, easy to move around in, large, empty hallways, and there's this giant, like, U-shaped balcony area that's inside where you can completely see across this entire giant room.
mhm. Yeah, another thing that's actually pretty cool about that is that, about the map, not the openness, is, like, all of these walls, it's kind of hinting towards playing Cade, almost, because a lot of these reinforcements, like when you go to reinforce, a lot of the walls are actually kind of, like the breakable walls, that is, are kind of split by like this pillar that goes up as the normal Moroccan style. So you only have these like little sections of actual reinforceable walls. And so it's kind of interesting it's like, it doesn't like change much about it. Well, I guess it kind of does, because like you can't, like sometimes strategies for people is to place 2 thermite charges and completely open up the wall, whereas now you're going to have to open on each side of the pillar, which could actually open up for new strategies as well, because sometimes they have that pillar kind of extruded farther out. So it could turn out to be different, I don't know, attacking strategies of some sorts. But yeah. And then now we're going to get on to the glitches in it. Of course, Rainbow Six Siege has its wide history of glitches. At least it's not an Operation Health level glitch status. And so one thing that really I thought it was fine at first. The first time that we saw it, we're like, oh, that's a weird visual glitch. And then we started catching on it was a recurring glitch that was going to happen during this season. And we're like, okay, this is a fine glitch. It's just kind of weird. But then as it goes on and on and on, it got so annoying. And this glitch is basically during the end of round replay. If any character, like whether you're watching the person or like that person that you're watching is watching someone else and they're crouching, there are no frames between you in the standing position and you in the crouching position. I have no idea for prone position because I haven't seen that yet. But it's so weird because all you see is a jump between standing and crouching, and it looks so unsmooth. It's just like it starts to really bug you and get really annoying.
And that's one of those things where it's like
That's
why they have the mid-season reinforcement, which I think they're actually trying to get rid of, which I don't really like that. But they've always used this mid-season reinforcement about halfway through the season or a third of the way through the season. They go through and patch those kinds of big bugs and glitches or stuff that seems really unbalanced or annoys players or that sort of thing.
Another thing that we've been having some issue with, it hasn't necessarily been us more than it has been other people that I've seen online, but people are getting like this audio bug right now where people hear sounds right next to them. I know this happened to you about a week ago when we first started playing. You could hear gunshots right next to you, but I could hear them like upstairs, sort of above us. So like he freaked out. And also for some people, like during some of the matches and stuff, the drones are completely silent. Like a few matches, like some matches for people, that all the drones will just be completely silent, and all they'll see is like this just black thing just going across the floor, and it's like making no noise, and so it's kind of weird. I don't think even the jumping makes noise, which is also strange. And then the last thing is that there's a weird texture bug. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but basically when you reinforce, I've had like the textures just start freaking out on the reinforcement. And I'm like, what's happening? While I'm doing it, because I just feel like this reinforcement's gonna explode when I finish doing it. But yeah, so none of these are really that bad because there have been the past issues where there's been a bunch of weird glitches, especially a lot of glitches I found with frost mats, like where people have gotten frost traps like through walls before.
Yeah. Or like the invisibility glitch.
Yeah, it's
the no recoil glitch with blitz, those sort of things that are game breaking in a sense.
Like the drones is kind of game breaking, or like the sounds right next to you, but that doesn't seem to happen as often as these other things. Or actually it doesn't really happen at all, but like any of these things, well, except for the end of replay, that's always occurring. That's why it's really annoying. But yeah, so now we're going to move on to our kind of summary and opinion of it. So one thing is that, like I said earlier, is Ubisoft is kind of stepping into a new part of Siege, I feel like, with Nomad especially because of her air jabs, because this is a whole new part of Siege. I mean, it's basically exactly the same as the Outbreak Juggernaut thing that would throw you to the side. Isn't that basically what the air jab does?
Yeah, they actually took the coding from the Juggernaut and put it as the air jab.
And then another reason that, like I'm saying, they're kind of stepping outside of their comfort zone, I think they're entirely, like right now I feel like they're 1 foot forward in it. I feel like they're going to go the rest of the way in. I don't know, they might even take their foot out and then just jump straight in. But like the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like they've reached that limit where like they've kind of made all of these feasible operator type deals right now. Like even Lion was kind of stepping kind of outside of their comfort zone with this drone that somehow detects movement through the building and stuff like that. Like all the operators beforehand, all of them were like kind of like mild, like actual could be realistic type deal, and then they have the air jab this time. And so I feel like there's gonna be all sorts of those things that are gonna be start coming out now, and I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out because for one thing, the Siege community could be really happy about that. That could be a really cool thing that they're adding in, but at the same time, it could be very concerning because then we could have this kind of Call of Duty type era that goes on where we get into this too futuristic sense, and we can't really drop back. And I feel like if Ubisoft heads into that, that could be bad, especially since Ubisoft is a lot of tactical shooter and not very much realistic type deal. Yeah. So, especially since Assassin's Creed is literally the past.
Yeah. So, I started playing around Operation Health, and even back then, I heard different things about Ubisoft planning on... They had plans of having like 50 attackers and 50 defenders. And this was a long time ago, and even then, I was like... I can't really think of what else they'd add into the game. And I think we're finally reaching that point, as he said, where it's becoming unrealistic as to what they're adding and how these different mechanics are working together.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but other than that, we do think that the operators are well done. I think Nomad kind of still fits within Siege, but it also kind of worries me because it is kind of stepping toward that more futuristic reality of the game. But I do feel like, the Nomad still works well within Siege. Cade, of course, actually is kind of brilliant and definitely works with Siege because it's basically a more... Now, I don't want to say mobile because obviously he's himself is not mobile compared to Bandit, but his gadget does work with Bandit. Like this is something you said yesterday, I believe, that you think that a lot of people are actually going to be playing Bandit and Cade together. And after having considerable amount of time to ponder that, like yeah, I can definitely see that because people will go for the hatches or the very interesting kind of strats with hitting those three electrifying things, and also doing the reinforcements for Bandit. Basically, just allows you to electrify everything and definitely narrow it down to just a couple things, which will definitely also increase the playtime for Thatcher. And so I think Cade really actually balanced out a few of the characters in the game. And so I think that is really cool. And it definitely balanced out Maverick as well because, you can't always get the Bandit charges because sometimes there'll be Electro Claws instead.
And they, as I said, they can be anywhere on the wall. They can be halfway up it, all the way up it, at the bottom, in the middle.
Not even on the wall. Could be on the freaking ceiling.
Yeah.
Or even, I've even seen people throw it, I haven't seen people do this, but I have seen it on other maps, but I was actually thinking the other day, if you were to play on Border, and the hallway section into Armory, where you have you could definitely throw something, you could definitely throw one below.
Yeah.
And electrify those two reinforcements.
Leading to balcony.
Yeah, leading to balcony from underneath. And so it's just all sorts of those kind of strategies can be created with Cade. And so, yeah, so I think it would be really cool if they can somehow figure out that to do that with more operators. Like I feel like they try to do that with Sledge and Buck, but then people just kind of started using Buck more than Sledge. But they have kind of found a way to even them out with kind of noise reduction and also the size of the hole that's created with the Sledge versus the underbarrel attachment.
And the fact that Sledge's sledgehammer can one-shot people. And
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, but also the map is really fun and new. And literally looks polished. So, the thing I really like about the new map is the open area. That's probably my favorite part of the map, because it's also just really cool to look at. Because we see all these different styles, but all of the maps kind of just look run down and stuff like that. But this map actually looks really clean, and it looks. Do you know what it's supposed to be?
Moroccan Palace.
Palace,
I believe.
That's probably why it looks polished.
Fortress.
No kidding. The last thing is definitely this insane scope that has been put on this .44 mag semi-auto. I totally remember that. Did not look off of the little notes that we have here. but yeah, but this scope, like, I don't know what it is, but like you can definitely tell with the depth perception and stuff like that on other scopes. This just looks zoomed in. Like it just looks hyper focused. It looks really clean. It's so easy to aim with it for whatever reason, and it's a 2-shot, which is insane. And then obviously it's a 1-tap headshot, but that's
at maximum range
so.
It does 60 damage. So
are you serious?
Yeah,
that's insane.
And the scope. I was actually comparing the scope the other day with like Cade's AR with the ACOG on it. I feel like
submachine gun. Thank you very much.
We're
trying to give these people a lesson on the hard facts of this.
Fine.
Okay.
On Cade's shotgun. But I was testing it on Cade's weaponry, like the actual ACOG, and it seems like this scope on the 44 mag actually zooms in more than the default ACOG scope. Which
I think it's a 6 times, is what they said.
Which is kind of insane to think about. And that's another reason why I feel that Cade is a 3 armor, because they've said before they don't want quick defenders to have good scopes.
Yeah. That's why they took Bandit's ACOG away.
And Jaegers. Rip the ACOG dream.
Yep. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to our rating. So mine is an 8 out of 10. I personally, what makes it an 8, like what those 8 points are, is mainly Cade. I really like Cade, the new operator. I also really like Nomad. I would say I like Nomad more than Cade just because she's a little bit less boring. But like strategically wise, I like Cade more. Especially since Nomad kind of steps out of that comfort zone, which is kind of where that 2 gets taken away. But at the same time, she still works well with Siege. And another big reason why the 2 gets taken away is just that really annoying bug in the end clip. And obviously, this rating is about an update. So like this isn't like the entire game. This is about the update itself. So don't like be like, but Siege is a great game, because it is. But don't do that. You love Siege. And also the new map I really like. It's probably now one of my favorite maps. And I actually haven't played it on ranked yet. I kind of want to see what some people do for strategies on that. I haven't really seen many clips of people doing stuff on Fortress yet. So it'll be cool to see what kind of strats people come up with.
And for my rating, I did 7 out of 10 because I've been around Siege a lot longer than Malcolm has, and
it's true.
There are really good updates, really bad updates, and I feel like this is more moderate of the updates. Like you have good updates where they introduce Mira and Jackal, these 2 very, very, very versatile people, just for getting information, getting new strategies with their shotgun secondary, things like that. And this one I just don't feel like brings all of that potential like some of the other updates have. Sure, it's better than some updates like White Noise, but I just don't feel like you don't have as much versatility in this update.
I do have a question for you. Strategically wise, who is your more favorite operator?
Probably Nomad.
Really?
Because as they've many times, even when she was in production, as Ubisoft has said, it's good for like put it on your flank. So if anyone comes, you either hear them shoot it or it hits them.
Or on Diffuser.
Which has actually won us a game once.
That's true. Against hackers even, actually.
But you can have different strategies like that. Or even, I was seeing a myth busting on this, where you could have the air jab knock someone into another air jab. Or have the air jab knock them into a claymore. Or just different strategies like that, where it's good to have it watch your back, and you feel a lot safer than just listening for audio cues or trusting a teammate.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to move on to Term of the Week. And the Term of the Week for today is frag. And where you hear this a lot is either frag grenades. That's usual, just fragmentation grenades. That's what they are. But usually when people are referring to frags, they're referring to kills, which is also where the term top fragger comes from. Because when you're the top fragger, that means that you get like the most amount of kills. That's basically sums it up for frag. Yeah, so game on.